Nina Totenberg is the daughter of the late famous violinist Roman Totenberg, whose professional career spanned 9 decades. When Nina's parents are newlyweds, her mother kept hearing an odd rustling sound at night. Well, it turned out to be her father's toes marking time against the sheets to the music in his head. We're convinced that this must have contributed greatly to Nina's success, because you think about it. Nina came into our industry with the ability to carry a lot of beats. As a Boston newspaper journalist in her 20s, that meant the women's page, the police beat, the courts, educational policy, and more. And even though she arrived at National Public Radio as an accomplished journalist known for breaking stories, she still spent years handling multiple beats before they were passed on to 10, I repeat that, 10 other full-time correspondents. She is a true pioneer who opened doors for women while doing the impossible. Today, she is the maestro of legal affairs as National Broadcast Radio's award-winning correspondent who can be heard regularly on NPR's critically acclaimed news magazines, All Things Considered, Morning Edition, and Weekend Edition. Now let's remember that it was Nina who ripped open the subject of sexual harassment when she broke the story of Anita Hill's allegations against Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, a landmark moment in American political and social life. Think of what has happened since then. As you might imagine, NPR was awarded a stream of awards, including a Peabody for her gavel-to-gavel coverage and exclusive interview with Anita Hill. As most of you know, Nina is also the author of the New York Times bestseller, Dinners with Ruth, a memoir of the power of friendships. She is a frequent contributor on TV shows, as well as in major newspapers and periodicals. The Library of American Broadcasting Foundation proudly salutes Nina Totenberg as a giant of broadcasting.
I better get this down a little bit. I'm still a giant compared to Danny DeVito, though. You tell him, Tony. I do want to say a big thank you first to the library, not for honoring me or anyone else, but for the amazing, amazing job that you do in compiling and keeping the archive of American broadcasting, keeping what all of us do alive, even after we're gone. As I look back, I think that my first exposure to what it might be like to be a reporter was when I was in grade school, and I would come home to join my mother at the TV, where she was glued to the Army McCarthy hearings. She was very good at explaining everything, and I soon came to understand quite well what a great thing it was to be a witness to history. It's really a stroke of good luck that by the time I was an aspiring young reporter, the door of male exclusivity was just being pried open. Which brings me to my editor's advice when I asked him what I should talk about here. Without hesitation, he said, "You should talk about how you and a few other women put NPR on the map, and now women run the effing place." It is true that women were virtually no place in radio or broadcast news until NPR, and I do like to think that we do now run the effing place. When I came to the network, it was the only place I had ever worked where I wasn't the only woman or perhaps one of two. At NPR, women did most of the jobs because the truth is that back then no man would have worked for the salaries they paid us. Susan Sandberg and Cokie Roberts, both of whom preceded me as giants, and other NPR women, we had a ball not just doing work that we loved, but making sure that even as the salaries rose, women continued to be hired because, well, we could be sure that they would work harder than anybody else. Yes, we were fierce, but we just laughed at the fact that some of our male colleagues used to refer to the area where we sat as the fallopian jungle. Even better, the early NPR women have been lucky enough to see the world of journalism be transformed, to see not just female colleagues, but female executives proliferate, not just at NPR, but at newspapers, TV networks, and more, and to watch in awe as the newest generation of NPR women somehow manages to do everything, even reading to children on a cell phone during a stakeout. So today, I think it fitting that even though I have reached the stage in life when I am shrinking, I accept the designation of giant on behalf of all the women in news and the men who have learned to love having us on every beat, from the Supreme Court to the basketball court. We cover every aspect of American life and governance. Indeed, women are in every corner of the country and the globe, covering political wars at home and real ones with bullets and bombs in Israel, Ukraine, and elsewhere as well. And finally, I want to thank the library for this great honor. When you look up the list of giants, it really is quite humbling. All I can say is that it's thrilling to be in the company of male icons too, from Walter Cronkite to Lester Holt and, well, Jimmy Durante. Thank you so much.